makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Shayla Atkins, CEO and founder of the Atkins Impact Consulting Firm. Shayla is an international keynote speaker, global diversity, equity, and inclusion expert, and award-winning leadership and business strategist. She is also the creator of the Solo to CEO Academy, where she guides women of color leaders and entrepreneurs on a personal and professional leadership development journey. Good morning, Shayla. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm excited to talk about your company and also your book and all the great work you are doing out there to support others. So now, can you tell us about your background and how you first become interested in human resources and diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Sure. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me and inviting me today. It's a pleasure to be here. I will say my background in HR really happened by happenstance. I grew up in my career in supply chain. So I am a Lean Six Sigma, black belt. So I'm a process data nerd. And the company I was at the time was restructuring and centralizing a lot of their support functions. And I did not want to go further north. I was like, it's already cold. I'm from St. Louis. I did not want to go north. So I made the career change to HR, to human resources, and loved it. I got my education and, degree in there. And so from then on, it really, really pulled that need and nurturing aspect for me in order to help people. I really became entrenched in talent processes, compensation, and no matter where I was in HR, diversity, equity, and inclusion followed me. It was always embedding DE&I into different HR functions, into different HR processes. And so it became just a part of my brand and who I was, no matter what I did and what role I took on within HR. And then it's like, well, here I am almost 20 years later in that space and was leading global DE&I, which is amazing. So definitely no regrets, but that's really how I got into it. And so a lot of my background in education and expertise is around organizational effectiveness, organizational development, and that transformation. And it also helped to have that process background too, because you can streamline and make sure that HR is data driven, right? So it definitely brought that to the table. So that's how I really got into it.
So pretty much you get into it that way, you build a passion for it and you stay.
Exactly. You said it so much better. That's exactly what happened. I did find my passion. Honestly, and I have this saying that in order to do something long term, 3 things need to be in alignment. And that's your passion, your proficiency, and your purpose. And I found that with supply chain, I had the passion and I had the proficiency, but I was missing that purpose. And that's what I found with DE&I is that I now have all three in alignment: my passion, my proficiency, and my purpose.
And your purpose.
Yes.
So now you started I'm not sure if I'm going to say the company name properly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Atkins Impact Consulting Firm?
Yes, she said it. Yes, that is correct.
So can you tell us about it and how it come to be?
Absolutely. So this was a business born out of the pandemic. And the Atkins Impact. So one thing to know about me is I love acronyms. So Impact is actually an acronym. And the acronym is the company's core values. And this is a global diversity, equity, and inclusion firm. We do consulting and coaching. And we truly believe that from a coaching perspective, we tap into leaders within the organization to create inclusive cultures, and we tap into the HR organizations to build their capabilities. So we look at ourselves as more as coaches and consultants, this hybrid, but ultimately everything we do is to level the playing field. Everything we do. So whether we are coaching, whether we're consulting, whether we are training, it is to level the playing field. So it was born out of the pandemic, which I'm super excited about. We turned 3 on March 20th, which is super exciting. So we'll turn 3. And I'll say it has been a journey, especially a company literally was born March 20th, 2020, the height of the pandemic, right? And now as a full-time entrepreneur in the business, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And so we partner with purpose-driven businesses. And what we say by that is, if you're a business that is looking to have DEI as your next project or check the box, we are not the firm for you. We take businesses, organizations, corporations on a journey who are truly committed to leveling the playing field and creating inclusive environments and equitable environments. And so that's how it came to be. And I love, we have leadership coaching. We have leadership development programs for targeted populations. We have leadership development for women of color in leadership, because we know we have to change representation at the top. And we believe that, you cannot be what you can't see. And so it is so true. And so we have specific programs and enrichment and learning and development for women of color, specifically for leadership. So super excited about it. It's a great firm.
Yeah, congratulations on turning 3 very soon. I would say about like a week and a half or something like that. Pretty much there. Very much there. But when you say that with your you help women, do you provide your services as a one-on-one, or do you go into the organization and provide your services to the organization for the woman?
Great question. So we have a hybrid approach. So we provide those programs to the organizations where we can go into your organization and run our program with a private experience. So meaning just the women in leadership that are in your organization. Or we partner with organizations to sponsor their women to participate in our cohorts outside of their organization. So we run cohorts, we launch cohorts multiple times throughout the year, and you can sponsor your women in leadership. This is your early to mid-level women in leadership who are trying to break through that glass ceiling and sometimes not go off that glass cliff, and to develop those key leadership skills that women, that we need. And so we can either go into the organization and run it as a private experience within your organization, or sponsor your women to attend the cohort, and they get this enriched experience from tapping into women in various different industries, various different companies, and you build a network, right? And so that's always the beauty of it. So we have the hybrid approach. And so that's what I love about that.
So also you mentioned something about when you, with DEI, so when you help in an organization, you don't just, if they're looking for something like to just check a box, that's not what you do. You focus more on creating it and make sure that it works for the organization itself. What do you mean by the checkbox? Do you mean by the fact that they are not taking it seriously? They just want to say, hey, I do this, but really not putting their heart into it. It's just like just to show up that they're doing something, but really not to support the employees, really.
You are spot on. That's exactly what it means. So we have, unfortunately, there are organizations that have what I call performative commitments. So publicly, we've checked this box to say we've done unconscious bias training, and we've done we've put this program in place, but it's not anchored in the business strategy, right? Your leaders are not held accountable for creating safe spaces, even psychologically safe spaces for employees to thrive. it's not integrated into your employee experience, meaning that it's not integrated into your talent processes and life cycle. So when you're doing your succession planning and you're determining the next leaders, do you have diverse, inclusive, and equitable processes integrated and embedded across that talent life cycle? And that's what we mean by we work with those purpose-driven businesses who are truly committed. That means you see it in their business strategy, right? You see it at the top. You see it in their processes and in their employee experience.
So you have mentioned the importance of authenticity.
Tongue twister. It is.
Oh my goodness. You have mentioned the importance of intensity as a vehicle to millions. How have you seen this play out in your work with clients?
So one, the brand, when we talk about developing women, especially women of color in leadership, and for women of color who are entrepreneurs and all women, and authenticity, I've experienced personally and have seen with my clients that this unlocks a level of creativity. It unlocks confidence. It unlocks a level of leadership that women, when they are authentic in who they are, they're authentic in their belief system, their values, and the brand that they want to show up in when they're themselves, it is unmatched. And so that's what I mean. It is the vehicle to millions. When we are in safe spaces and can truly unapologetically be ourselves, we are loyal to our organizations. We deliver unprecedented results. We are engaged as business owners. We are in rooms. We have the confidence. We're at the $1 million tables with the $1 million contracts. And we show up in a way that's completely different. And we disrupt status quo. And that's exactly what it is. And it's actually one of the anchor principles of our leadership development programs is to first become authentic in who you are at the core before we start to build up those skills and capabilities.
Yeah, because sometimes some people, especially when you're in business, trying to be like everyone else. But in reality, you just need to be yourself, be you, and people will love you for just who you are.
That's it. And speaking from personal experience, in corporate America, I spent over a decade conforming, it's called code switching, changing who I was so I could fit in. I would straighten my hair so I can smooth out my appearance and not stand out. I would change the way I talked. I changed my interests, the clothes that I wore. I wouldn't wear colors or colorful fingernails or anything like that so I can blend in. And that is typically the advice that's given to women, is to have this executive presence, which is a term I despise, by the way. Because at the time when I was in corporate, there weren't a lot of executives who looked like me. And so you're emulating this image, right, that doesn't necessarily represent you. And this executive presence and image is based on an image that didn't have women in mind, right? So I truly believe authenticity sits at the core. And it fosters clarity, it fosters confidence, and it definitely impacts how we show up and how we lead others in our businesses and careers.
Yes. And I think that is the best way also to move forward. And I think it's being new all the time. So it's easier. Also, the company will not fail, because I felt like a lot of time when you try to be someone else, that's where the failure comes in a lot easier. You welcome the failure because you are not being it's not you.
Exactly. You're so spot on. And we take on these other leadership styles, right, that do not complement our strengths. I've taken on roles that did not complement who I was, and because I was, again, trying to emulate. And it's okay to have, admiration, leaders that you admire, but when it becomes the emulation, right, and when you are suppressing and denying who you are, and you're exactly spot on, that's when you open up the door for failure. And that is exactly when we talk about creating a brand, a leadership brand. It's authentic, right?
Yes.
And you become so much more confident and effective. And I love it. So I'm all about be you. Rock your coils. Yes, rock your curls, wear your colorful nails, do what you need to, like, be you first before we build up any capabilities. Let's talk about how we could be you first.
Absolutely. So now, can you talk about the Solo to CEO Academy and how it empowers women of color leaders and entrepreneurs?
Perfect segue. So Solo to CEO it's a play on words, but it's really, truly a lot of times, and again, a lot of this comes from my personal experience, is I recall navigating corporate America solo, alone. And I didn't have my tribe. I didn't have a network, and I'm climbing the ranks and climbing the ladder, but I was alone. And to the CEO, this is the CEO not only of a business, but the CEO of your career and the CEO of your life. And so this academy is the academy that delivers our coveted, our signature SPICE program. So the Women Lead with SPICE. So we push these programs through the Solo to CEO Academy. And that is where the authenticity comes in, right? So we get to know and love who we are at the core. There's some healing that takes place and some self-love that takes place. Before we can serve and lead others, we have to be able to lead ourselves first. Yes.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. So our signature program is Women Lead with SPICE. And it's around that healing and self-love. And SPICE, another acronym, are the 5 leadership skills that we build for women. It's our savvy, it's our performance, our image, our communication, and our exposure. And that is what we work through in our programs, which is our professional leadership development programs for women of color in leadership. So
is that something anyone can, like, for example, anyone can join that program and be a part of it?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, it is open to women in leadership. So it is perfect program for early to mid-level leaders. If you're in the workplace, early to mid-level leaders who desire to become senior leaders. And again, you're code switching and conforming. You're suppressing who you are. You're overworking, or maybe despite all your degrees and all the results you've delivered, and sometimes you still feel like an imposter, right? So it's perfect for women and women who are leading teams in their businesses as well. So it is, enrollment opens up in April for our cohort that starts in June. So it opens up in April. We'll be announcing and launching that. We'll be having our enrollment. This is the cohort that we run to where organizations and companies can sponsor their women to go through this 6-month container. And it has a private community, and it is truly hands-on. You have accountability, you have relationships. It's truly an immersive experience. So enrollment opens in April for our cohort that starts in June.
Wow. Yes. So pretty much they can they can join themselves, or the company they work with can sponsor them to come join that.
Exactly. Either or. So we have both options available. To where if a woman individual, so an individual can definitely join the cohort, or their company can sponsor them, because it is a professional and leadership development program. And so we have either options available, and for the Lead with SPICE program, where we go to those 5 SPICE capabilities.
I love it. So do you also provide a one-on-one coaching with that program, or is it just a group meeting together? How does that program work?
Oh, amazing question. So that particular program is group. And so within those, you not only, and I'll answer definitely on the one-on-one part. So that particular program is a group coaching, to where I am providing coaching. There's also accountability coaches that comes in, and one of these are certified coaches as well. that comes in and helps keeps the momentum going and guiding through that development piece. And for one-on-one, it's outside of that particular program, but that is in our mastermind. So we do have a mastermind that offers some one-on-one access and one-on-one coaching, because we're all in different parts and different stages of our journey. And sometimes we need to have some intimacy and some private time, because it is a lot of healing that takes place, right, on this development process. So we do have a mastermind that occurs after you complete the 6-month group. You have a solid foundation. You can definitely come into our year-long, 12-month-long mastermind and have some of that one-on-one time and that intimacy.
But also, do you provide one-on-one coaching without any being any part of any program?
I do provide that. So I do provide it as leadership coaching, standalone one-on-one coaching. I do provide it for organizations who want one-on-one executive coaching for their leaders, especially on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I do provide some executive coaching for women of color in leadership as well, one-on-one.
Do they have to go through the company for you to support them, or they can come to you without,
they can come to me. Yeah, they can come to me without the company as well. Absolutely.
So now you are leading authority in global diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies. How do you approach DEI training for senior leaders and HR, DEI and DEI functions?
So one of the things you'll find about me and how I approach training, how I approach strategies, and as a strategist, the very first thing I asked is, where is DEI in your business strategy? So before we talk about any training, I want to know, where is it in your strategy? And by doing this training, what will this training accomplish for your company, and what will accomplish for your organization? And so for me, I tie it back to key metrics, to key results. Are we looking to increase employee engagement? Are we looking to reduce turnover? Are we looking to strengthen organizational health? And so that we're not just doing training for the sake of doing training. And so with that, we have clear outcomes. Now let's talk about the training that makes sense for your organization, for your leaders, whether that is how to create psychologically safe spaces where all employees, feel comfortable to speak up and to speak out, or if it's a training on cultural competency because you're now leading hybrid, remote employees, and you have multicultural employees in these diverse, hybrid environments. So I always approach any engagement, whether I am doing a one-time training or a long-term engagement that's 12 months or 24 months, of where is it in your business strategy? What outcomes are we trying to accomplish, and how will we measure how effective we are? Not to just check the box to say you did training, and now you can publicly make your social media statement to say, look what we did. No, is it effective, and can we measure it? That's how I approach it.
I love it, because you focus on the company itself. And then, is it really going to beneficial the company, or is it just a waste of time?
Exactly.
So that's a good way.
Yes.
So now, your book, Women Who Lead with Spice, and it has been a bestseller. Can you share with us what inspired you to write it, and what readers can expect to gain from it?
So this has truly been a labor of love. It has been a labor of love. It has been birthed from years of personal experience, research, analysis, and as a recovering perfectionist, not making any more changes to the book. So what women can expect from this book is not only just my personal stories, but it is actually a guide. It has exercises, growth exercises in the actual book itself. So not only do I share my stories, again, of how I changed and suppressed who I was, or how I grew my personal board of directors and built my network. There's exercises that guide women through building your personal board of directors and how to communicate effectively and take women through that. So I wanted to make sure that not only was this, it's not just fluff or it's not just theory, but it had this practical application that when you're reading this book, you are walking away with skills you can apply immediately, Like when you get done with a chapter, you're like, oh my gosh, I can go do this today. And that was one of the key things. So you can expect this book will put you to work.
It's on training.
It really is. It works, but it's also work. So you can definitely expect that. Have your pen and pencil and highlighter ready as you're reading through it, and to go through a healing journey, to go through some hands-on tools and exercises, and to walk away more confident, authentic, and effective as a leader.
And also you get to spice up your life.
You get to spice it up. Yes. The spice for me, leadership can be taught with so many different skills. You know, there's emotional intelligence and there's leadership of self. But I boil spice down to 5 key capability skills, traits, if you will, that will catapult us. And so spice, the book tells you not only how to develop those skills, but when to leverage them as you're climbing the ladder. And I'll tell you, specifically for performance, women, we have no problem performing and getting things done. But when we overcompensate and overperform to the point of exhaustion and burnout, that's when we have the problem. Or if we're trying to ascend to senior leadership, performance is not the key. It's going to be your savvy and your image, right? And it's going to be how you lead others to perform. So the book walks you through when to activate those skills depending on the level that you are in the workplace. So that's what I love about the book. You walk away with immediate hands-on, tangible takeaways.
Wow. It's, I guess it's another way to actually get things in order, get your, if you can get your personal life together, that will also help you to lead better. And that will also make you be a better leader and then better of whatever you do in life in general.
Exactly. You got it spot on. You got it. And that's what I truly believe that. When you're comfortable and confident and authentic and you have those skills, you're undeniable. You're unstoppable. You're not looked over for the next promotion, right? And I had to learn to not be the hardest worker all the time, but to be smart and intentional, right? As a leader. And so that's exactly what it is. You're spot on.
So you have been recognized for your leadership, commitment, and contribution to your community and the next generation. Can you tell us about the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award you received from President Biden and what it's meant to you?
Oh my gosh. So this award, so I'll say this. I come from very, very humble beginnings, very humble. And the fact that I was not a product of my environment, and I have been serving in my community for so long, doing a lot of community service. And when the opportunity came for this award, the Lifetime Presidential Award, which is a community service award, and you have to have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of service. It means the world to me because I'll be honest with you, very transparent, that if it wasn't for someone else, I would not have made it out of my circumstances or made it out until I pledged to myself and to my community that I wasn't going to make it out and forget, right? That I continue to pay it forward and to look back. And one of the mantras of my brand, of anything I do, is that we lift as we climb. We do not climb alone. And so as we're building out our networks or we're serving in our community, we lift as we climb. And so that award meant the world to me, to be recognized on a national scale, right, by our president of the United States. It meant the world to me. And it also continued to fuel me, right, to say that, okay, it actually is making an impact, because sometimes we question whether or not it's like, wait, is it really working? Is it making an impact? You know what? It is. And that means I have even more work to do.
Exactly. So I think that also your community support you as well. They love what you are doing by being behind them and helping them when they need your help. And like you said, to to get to a level like that, that's mean you actually spend a lot of time supporting your community.
I do, and it is an amazing community. A lot of the time, like I said, I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, so shout out to St. Louis. And I, like I said, come from very, humble beginnings there. And even now, being in the Houston area, serving this area here. And so these are, great communities. The programs, whether, anything that I do, it is of service to others. So, and it is to develop others, whether I'm consulting, whether I'm coaching, or whether I'm serving, it is to level the playing field in service of others.
Yes. So now, what advice would you give to other women who are starting their own businesses or leading their industries?
I love that question. I'll start with the starting your own business, because for a while I was doing both, right? Corporate and business owner. One of the most, I would say, powerful pieces of advice I received that I will impart onto other women is to play to your strengths. And what I mean by that is to lean into your strengths. Your strength is your genius. It is where you need to have dominion and ownership. Lean into it. A lot of times as women, we focus a lot on our opportunity areas, which is okay, but we over-focus. And so on those opportunity areas, and we look at what we don't have. Play to your strengths and start a business in that strength, and make sure that your passion, your proficiency, and your purpose is aligned. Because it takes a lot. In business, you have to be comfortable doing the same thing over and over and over, and talking about the same thing over and over and over, right? So it takes all three of those to be in alignment. Play to your strengths. Like, what you're amazing at. Find your superpower and start your business there. For those who are leading in your industries, I would actually say the same advice. I can remember taking on roles because I was trying to round out these experiences and try to develop these other areas. And it was stressful. And I'm all for taking career risk, right? So let me just preface that. That's okay. But play to your strengths. Go into roles and leadership roles that complement, that enhance your strengths, highlight your strengths, and build a team around you, right? That rounds out those experiences, right? So that's my advice.
Oh my goodness. So anyone that would like to connect with you, how can they connect with you?
Yes. So I'll start with social media. So I am on LinkedIn as Shayla Atkins. You can find me on social media platforms under Coach Shayla Speaks, on Instagram and Facebook. You can also, for consulting needs, you can visit my website at www.theatkinsimpact.com. And for the Lead with Spice book, you can visit www.leadwithspice.com. You can see our book on that site. You can see our program. Again, where enrollment opens. So you can definitely visit those two, www.theatkinsimpact.com and www.leadwithspice.com.
Thank you so much, Shayla, for being here with us. Thank you for giving me your time, and thank you for being patient, because even that we face some issues with internet, and thank you for being so patient with yourself and also with internet, because it can be, I don't know, we can't live without it, but also it can be very dramatic. So,
oh my gosh, yes. It's a love-hate relationship, definitely.
Yes.
And thanks for having me. I definitely thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you today.
No, me too. I enjoy having this conversation and learning about your work and what you do and how you are supporting women. And that's something that is very close to my heart. And I love meeting other women that's doing the same thing. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.